late into the night, slept in my truck, and the school that I wanted to go check out and the next two parks are all pretty much undoable basically for fences and what's going on there and everything. So I came out to a zone that's nearby. It is like Mad Max zone. It's where everybody dumps cars, bodies, garbage. Seriously, all kinds of stuff. And but it's also loaded with obsidian. And anywhere where it's loaded with obsidian, you will find tools and all kinds of stuff, because we have 10 to 70,000 years. It's a debated number of occupation. And so just as I am not the first person to walk by here today, we won't be the first people to look and observe this obsidian and collect good pieces and give that thousands and thousands of years. And that's a lot of people wandering by, picking up pieces, working on it, tossing them down. So we're going to go hunt toss downs, tools that weren't quite finished, things that were used as tools and thrown around because of the abundance. If you look out here, the black there is actually obsidian. That's how much we have to go through. But we're just going to use our tool eyes and go see. And it's all been shoved around by bulldozers too. So let me get out of the truck and we'll do this. Ground score. Actually, well, Taiwan, that's a 7/16. We won't laugh at that, right? Next time you break your 7/16, you'll be regretting that you didn't pick it up. So, lots of obsidian. I honestly walked over here looking to see the quality, because in this area where we are at, this is the ground basically. But when you get closer to the cities and the towns, it means that you're also getting closer to the spots that were always good camping spots and village sites, because everybody builds on top of each other's sites. And so what I notice is that farther away you get all raw, huge, big boulders that haven't been broken. And the closer you get to these towns and cities, the more it all looks like this. And I am genuinely thinking that a lot of that is because of humans, just ages and ages of people doing what we're doing right now. Picking it up, seeing if it's good for anything. I mean, that's definitely good for something. And but we're gonna look for ones that have obvious toolings and stuff on there. Although any of these could have been modified for a one-time use. You see this little, it's a nice conchoidal fracture, and then on the inside of this, bunch of little chips. That might have been a spot for cutting through tendons, you know, just like how you have the wire stripper at the bottom of your pliers. And for somebody who worked with stone, in the age when everything was stone instead of metal, whipping out a little 10-minute tool was like nothing, probably, especially when you were standing on piles of rocks. So I came over here, and what did I see? God, I shouldn't have set it down. Now it's just lost back in a pile. It was enough to make me go, okay, this site, oh, there it is. You can see the ridge and then the fluting. And for whatever reason, it got off balance. Or maybe that happened. Because remember, these haven't been shot. These haven't been tumbled down the river. So this is a toss down. So it may only be 10 feet from where it was tossed down. But you can see the crafts person got it all the way to the end. And shunk, maybe that happened. You know, and tossed it down. So there's a pretty for sure toss down. I would say, you know, okay, something about this location where we're at too. It's near one of North America's oldest lakes. It's existed the entire time, and once again, It's one of the places in North America since it started, so the tribes that lived around this area were here and they didn't have to migrate very far. And that's what I'm trying to say. It's one of the longest continuously inhabited sites in North America. So as you look at everything, I want you to confirm that with me. If you know the area, you know, anywhere up in Lake County, you can, the boulders of obsidian look like this in the field. They have all their rough on them. You won't see any of that when you get closer to the towns. You'll see this. Like, every single piece is broken off of something else and has been, you know, worked and refined, if it could be. You just won't see any big gobs here. So that's my theory on it, is that that's because there were so many people here for so long that they have literally done what we're doing right now, non-stop. You know, probably a larger stone, and that's basically its core that's getting left. A mother stone is that couldn't, you know, I find these in jaspers and other things, where it's just been worked down to that, and everything, it's harder and harder to get a long blade out of them. This is really awesome. This is stopping and hunting the details. I hope that's picking that up for you, how much is here. That's how much fun I'm having. I'm looking for areas where there's bunches of little fractures or obvious full shapes that are familiar. I'm going to turn you off until I find something else. Look, we have all this mountainside to go through. You know, there's probably lots of reasons why people don't want to focus on it or admit it. And I'm not going into the politics of any of it, or the morals, or however you want to look at that. But a lot of it is just people not realizing the scope and the scale, because it's always shown as a few small bands of natives running around chasing some animals on the Great Plains, and this wasn't like that. This was 4 to 5 different branches of tribes all living harmoniously up here around the lakeshore, and they had an ask for need system, so they never fought over the land, and they all intermingled, so it wasn't like there was borders and zones. Anyhow, if you needed land, you know, for agriculture, which there was a lot of agriculture, that's what they were doing up here, then you asked for it, and it was sorted out, and that was basically how they ran their land government, is what I read. Probably more well written and well spoken, but that's my reiteration of it. This is the scope and the scale now. So anyhow, you know, you're talking, when they say Indian Mound, this place, 3 million-year-old lake, every resource that you would ever need, and the ground is basically made out of volcanic glass. So you're talking a civilization duff pile that's bigger than the city and the modern footprint now, is what I believe, is what I see. We're going through the tailings on the outskirts, you understand. Towns, civilizations, let's call them that, because these were not little teeny tiny villages. You're talking like, oh, I don't know, living around this lake. There's another core stone. That's definitely what those are. You'll see me find a lot of those in all different types. And in these piles, I'm hoping to find one is pieces of different colored obsidians that have been brought from different places, and those are always tells also. Look how much obsidian is here. Okay, I'm going to quit babbling, but I wanted you to understand what we were looking at. what's actually here, what's actually going on. You could rise up above this right now in a hot air balloon or drone and look at the footprint of the modern city. There's probably the tool. Then you would be able to understand that these duff piles extend in all directions along a lot of the shores. A lot of mosquitoes here in the shade of this underbrush. This looks like a classic knife though. See, it's flat on one side, use the natural break. There's the butt of it. There's I don't know what you call it, but the fat piece fits in your palm, and then the big knocks come along this side. I recognize those in more refined pieces, and then this edge is always worked down like that with actual precision. And that knife looks almost finished. It's not a flat skinner, these were something different. They're humped up like that. It's been a while, but that one's definitely blanked out in my opinion. Had its rough going on, but I think that probably lost a big disc there and started going to the left. If I get cleaned up, its toolings will be a little bit more obvious. But yeah, just like a sword maker, they start getting it. It's like a sword maker or a knife maker. They start getting a certain bow or a fracture or something that they can't repair. And instead of continuing to waste time on the tool, it's better to start a new one that's going to be solid, especially when you're using them for life and death and sustenance and survival. These little discs, believe it or not, maybe not that one. These are probably good examples of little skinners. They tend to have one side that's the natural flake and then the other side worked down. And I'm telling you, when you're in a spot that has piles and piles and piles of blades all around you, you don't have to spend incredibly long making it perfect, you know? And you can just walk around and find these. And they're pieces that either broke off the back of a bigger one or were just a little skinner. You see they kind of have a uniform shape to them. That definitely worked. But you can see where there's like half of it missing. Yeah, both sides were heavily worked. And that's a sharp, nice edge. Look at that. I guess it didn't have to be a spear. It could be a one-sided knife. But then why would it be tossed down? Probably just got off balanced. Okay, that's horrible contrast. Let me put them up in here. These are just random pieces that I am keeping because I like the colors in them mostly when I held them up to the light, because they were probably tools. But yeah, I hold almost every piece that I pick up to the light that's a see-through piece. You can get all kinds of little landscapes hidden in them. Let's see what our actual tools were that we found. I kind of kept them in a separate pile here. Here's our Skinner pile. We'll just call them that. Skinner. Here's this. I will show you this cleaned up a little bit when we get to water. Yep. See, when you start looking at them like that, you know, you can see, yep, there's a weird half thing. Skinner. The Skinners will honestly probably just mix with the quartz in my front yard. So I'll steal my quartz in the night. Whoa! Just kidding. But there can be sharp objects littered around in my rock collection. But yeah, 3 tooled on. Some cool pieces just for their shape and possibility of being tooled on. Or see-throughness and size. You know. And yeah, I'll show you those wet and cleaned up. That's about it. Here's those 3 pieces more cleaned up. You can see this is called fluting. When they work the fractures down, leaves a notch, and you can see them in a row there, how they got that going on, and then the littler ones. And same on that side, brought it back to create that edge. And there's the overall on it, so they may have a, I don't know, that might be a finished tool, or like I said, it might have got out of balance. But what I like about them is I recover most of mine where they've been worn down by being lost out in the terrain or in the riverbeds or something, and you know, this is still sharp. It's literally in the pile. It's like going through the scraps of a craft person, you know. Something awesome about that. Get to see the raw stone and where they worked it to. And that, which it's obviously worked. It's a familiar pattern to bring it down, but I just don't think it came to tuition and it had too much of a bend on it. Got a bow, as they say, if you're working with metal. Here's another one where you can see the fluting, one after the other. You actually press a lot of the time from the edge, you know. In Hollywood they always show it where you're like knocking it, and you do that to reduce the bigger things, but the people I've seen actually do it are pressing up from this edge with pieces of copper now, but bone and other things in the past, and as you press it creates that fracture upwards. And they do that from that side, and then they flip it over and do it from that side, and then they flip it over and do it from that side. And when you've held 1,000 of them and watch people make them and stuff, you start to recognize what the river didn't do. It's like whittle, whittle, whittle. So, that was a short one, but yeah, you know, if we were in South America or someplace and we're like, look, huge mega city discovered under the footprint of modern day American city. Well, that's very common. You know, I'd like to point out that most of our historical sites, because humans tend to flock near the water, have either been taken over by the water as it rose, or are currently still occupied, meaning that they have modern cities and modern everything built over them and over them and over them. So, very common. And this is just what's sticking out from under the edges. Remnants of the past. And they are there. That was a little walk. There was 4 burnt out cars and trailers that had been set on fire in the bushes and stuff, so I didn't want to go too far, but yeah, saving a little bit of history, and you know, getting some reference on different stages of the crafting. So I hope that was interesting for you. I think that we're going to get some more permissions out there. You know, I see a lot of people have chunks of that land that they haven't developed and stuff, so I think that there's a lot of chance of going through it and finding some interesting stuff. Okay, until next time, this is A Quest for Details. This is Nate. Thanks for coming with me on another hunt for interesting pieces of the past. We'll see you next time. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please hit the subscribe button below. Helps the quest for details grow. I appreciate the support. And if you double click the bell icon next to it, you'll get a notification each time we put out a new video. Don't forget that on the Quest for Details homepage, if you click on the videos, then it will take you to all of the videos that I've posted in the past. They're all still there saved, and there's quite a few of them, and they grow every day. So